Hello, welcome to a new video. Today I'm bringing you an unhaul and I'm being brutal. Like, there is a lot of books here. So I'm just gonna say now, if I'm unhauling a book that you love for any reason, I'm sorry, but I need to get these books out of my house. So I'm going to start off with 3 that actually were technically in my last unhaul and then I took them out. I have actually decided to unhaul To Kill a Kingdom, 1 for Sorrow and 2 for Joy, because I'm not going to reread them. I don't need to keep them. I was having a bit of a crisis and decided to take them out of my last unhaul, but they are going in this unhaul and they are staying in this unhaul. So they are going. Next, we have The Ravens and the Monarchs by Cass Morgan and Danielle Page. Now, I love this duology, but I don't see myself ever rereading them, so they are going to go. Unfortunately, this is a Illumicrate edition. Back when Illumicrate only used to do, like, sprayed edges. But yeah, they're going. Same with Fire with Fire by Destiny Saria. I really enjoyed this. It's a Fairy Loot edition. It is a stunning Fairy Loot edition, but I, again, don't see myself rereading, so it's going. Next, we have Red Wolf by Rachel Vincent. I got this when I was really into retellings and then didn't get to it. And this is one that I just don't see myself picking up, so I don't see the point in keeping it. I'm not completely off retellings, obviously, but this one isn't one that interests me anymore, so it's going. Speaking of retellings, Gilded and Cursed by Marissa Meyer are going. So I read Gilded and it wasn't there. And I was gonna keep Cursed and read Cursed, but I've realised I don't actually care what happens. So there's no point keeping it because I'm not gonna pick this up. It's a shame because that's a really cool sprayed edge. But it's fine. It's not fine, I'm really upset about it, but it's fine. Next, we have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair. Now, I loved this book and I do want to continue the series. However, I don't need that. I didn't love it enough to warrant owning the whole series, so I'm going to unhaul this and then I'll just either get the future books from the library, borrow them from a friend, buy them on Kindle, or they might still be on Kindle Unlimited, I don't know, but I don't need the series, especially when they're like quite heavy books. Next is the Fear Street, The Beginning. So this is the first 4 books. I only read the first book in this and I'm not continuing it, so this is going. Next is books 1 and 2 in the Babysitter's Coven series by Kate Williams. I felt a bit at the end of the first book, but I ended up loving the second book. However, these are really hard to get hold of in these covers, so I think I'm just going to get the 3rd book from the library or something, because I don't need that. I don't like them enough. It is very aesthetically pleasing, but that's not a good enough reason to keep the books. Look at me being responsible. Next is The Woods Are Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. I really enjoyed this, but it's because of the nature of the book, it's one that I'm never going to reread, so what's the point? Next is Half a King by Joe Abercrombie. I tried Joe Abercrombie, not for me, it's going. Next is Goldilocks by Laura Lamb. Absolutely loved this book. However, I'm never going to reread this. I really enjoyed it, but it's not getting reread. Also, you can hear the fan. I am aware it's really cold outside. However, the heating's on and I've been picking books off shelves, so I'm really warm. So the fan is on. So apologies for the noise. Yeah, I really enjoyed this book, but it's not one that I'm going to reread because I know all the twists and turns and it won't have the same effect again. But it's one I would highly recommend, so please go read it because it's so good. Next, we have Phantom Hearts by Rosie Talbot and Sarah Maxwell. I wasn't a huge fan of the art style for this, and the story was a bit, it was okay. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it, so it's going. Next is The Upside of Unrequited by Becky Albertalli. Now, I love Becky Albertalli, and you're probably thinking, why are you unhauling one of her books? This is the only one I have in hardback, and it's also, I think, my least favourite, so I don't see myself ever rereading this, so it's going. Next is Chef's Kiss by TJ Alexander. I liked this book. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting a rom-com because it literally says it's a clear recipe for disaster in this deliciously fresh and witty queer rom-com. Where's the romantic comedy? There's a little bit of romance. There's a couple of like funny bits, but this is a contemporary with a sprinkle of romance. The romance isn't the main plot point, so I didn't enjoy it as much. If I'd gone into it knowing that, I probably would have. Next is one I'm really sad to get rid of. So I'm getting rid of The Edge of Everything and The Brink of Darkness by Jeff Giles. Now, I didn't realise these were Bloomsbury. Huh. So I read The Edge of Everything years ago. Absolutely loved it. It took so long. I mean, when did this one come out? I also used to have a really pretty edition of The Edge of Everything. And then they re-released the covers and the sequel never got released in that pretty edition. Not bitter. Right, this was 2017. I think I read it the year it came out. Oh, this was 2018. I just didn't read it. And now I don't want to. Next is The Other Ones by Fran Hart. I love this book, don't get me wrong. I don't see myself rereading it. So, it's going. The American Royals books by Catherine McGee. So, I have an ARC that I won at Yelp. I have the finished copy I bought. And then the second book, which is Majesty. I can't get the third and fourth books in matching, so I'm getting rid of them. It's going to be an ebook job. Next is Slayer and Chosen. So first off, I don't like that they don't match in the sense one's glossy, one's not. Second, I read Slayer. It was okay. I don't want to pick this up. So there's no point keeping them. Heartbreak Boys by Simon James Green. It sounds great. It probably is great. I've never read a Simon James Green, and I feel at this point, what's the point in reading one? I'm not the target audience. I don't think I'm gonna love it, and I would rather just never read them than read them and not enjoy them. Same goes for Alex Approximately by Jen Bennett. I've heard so many great things about this author, but I just don't think it's for me anymore. So this was on the last self-destruct I decided to do before I stopped doing them. I think this was on it and it never got read, but I decided to keep it. And I still haven't read it, and I think it's been 2 years since then. So it's safe to say I'm probably not going to. Next is The Coven by Lizzie Fry. I got this for £1 in the works a while back, and I remember that even though the sticker's not on there anymore. But I just have no interest in it. I feel like I was tempted too much by the £1 book, because who wouldn't be tempted by a book for £1? But I've reread the blurb and I'm like, I don't want to read this. So it's going. Next is Here We Go Again by Alison Cochrane. I loved this book. I love Alison Cochrane's writing. I'm not going to reread this one because this one was heartbreaking. So I can't do it again. Next is 2 sequels that I'm not getting rid of the first book, but I actually have no inclination to pick up the sequels. So first up we have Here's to Us by Becky Albertalli and Adam Silvera. I love Here's to Us. No, what's the first book called? What If It's Us. I loved What If It's Us when I read it. I don't want to reread and I don't want to continue. Actually, I think I'm going to unhaul. I'm really sad because it's actually signed by both of them, because I went to an event that both of them did for What If It's Us. But I'm going to get rid of both. Both are going. And then I'm getting rid of The First to Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I've been umming and ahhing about this because They Both Die at the End has such a place in my heart. I love it so much. And at first I was really excited about getting like a prequel. However, the final nail in the coffin for deciding not to read this one was I've seen there's going to be a third book. No, I don't want a third book. I don't want a prequel. I am happy with They Both Die at the End being it. So I'm actually going to unhaul this and I'm not getting book 3. They Both Die in the End is a standalone as far as I'm concerned. If you love these books, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I personally just don't want more in that series. It's a standalone to me. So I'm going to get rid of it. Next is Broken Hearts and Zombie Parts by William Hussey. I feel really bad about this because I've read a book by him before and really enjoyed it. And then this one sounded really good. But it's another thing of like, it's a YA that I picked up because it was an author I liked. And I've had no inclination to pick it up. So I'm going to just not. Next is the series I kind of feel bad about, but it's the Paper and Heart Society by Lucy Parry. Now, I have read the first 2 books of this series. I've got absolutely no motivation to pick up book 3 and finish this series, so I'm just gonna quit while I'm ahead. I think books 1 and 2 are signed, or is it just book 1? It's just book 1 that's signed, so that's a bit of a shame, but I'm not going to keep them just because the first one's signed. Next is a graphic novel I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of volume 1 of Lumberjanes. I do want to continue this series. However, I'm not going to buy all of them because there are quite a lot of volumes of this, and it's not one that I absolutely love to pieces like Spy Family and Card Captors that I want every single volume. So this is going. Then I'm getting rid of the rest of the Kieran Millwood Hargrave books I own, apart from an arc I have of one of these books. So I have read The Deathless Girls and I've read The Way Past Winter. I loved them both. I don't see myself rereading The Way Past Winter, and The Deathless Girls, I do have an arc that I want at Yalk. I will be keeping the arc. I don't need the finished copy because I don't actually think I will reread it. I'm keeping the arc more for sentimental reasons, so I don't need to keep the finished copy as well. And then A Secret of Birds and Bone and Julia and the Shark, I just have no interest in reading anymore because the last 2 books I've read by this author I've not enjoyed. So I think that author's done for me, which is sad. But the themes aren't theming with me anymore. Next we have Undead Girl Gang by Lily Anderson. I'm a little bit sad about getting rid of this one because I really enjoyed this and I absolutely love the aesthetic of this book, but I just don't see myself rereading it. I loved it at the time and that's great, but I think I'm done with it. Next is a whole author, and I feel really bad because I actually like these books, but it's the Taran Matharu books. So we have the Summoner series, which I read. So we have the Novice, the Inquisition and the Battle Mage. I never ended up reading the prequel to that series. I have no interest anymore. And then the Contender series, which is the Chosen and the Challenger. I've read the first book and enjoyed it. I was a bit disappointed by the end, but I have them all on audiobook now. So I don't think I have all 3 on audiobook as well, not just books 1 and 2. So I don't actually need the physical copies because it's not a series I think I'll reread. So they're going. I'm being brutal, guys. Okay, this next one is a series that's going to hurt. I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm getting rid of my Night World books. It's all 9. I've still only read the first 8 because I refuse to read book 9 until we get book 10 in my hands, which isn't going to happen at this point because LJ Smith decided she doesn't want to finish the series and I'm bitter about it, and every time I see these on my shelves I'm bitter about it. So do you know what, they're going. I'm done. If she decides to bring out book 10 now, fine, great, I'll read book 9 and 10 from the library. Yes, I'm bitter, don't care. Next up is The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. I was really interested in this when I got it and now I'm not. And I've heard a few people say that's not a book you're going to like. So I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead and get rid of it. We're still going, friends. We're still going. I'm getting rid of The Dangerous Remedy. So this is the Battalion of the Dead series by Kate Dunn. So we have Dangerous Remedy, Monstrous Design, Glorious Poison. I really enjoyed this series. It's the Illumicrate editions that I went out of my way to get. But I'm getting rid of them because I'm never going to reread these. And it is a hefty chunk of space on my shelves. You see there's a gap on this shelf now. There's not usually a gap on this shelf. It's because I got rid of these books. I'm not getting rid of Bithorn because I haven't read it yet and I will probably really like it, but these are going. I'm a little bit sad about it. Next up, I'm not gonna talk long about this. I'm really annoyed because this is one of my favorite books, but I'm getting rid of Neverwear by an author we don't want to talk about anymore because if you've seen the article, I started reading it and felt so sick I had to stop. So yeah, I have like 2 editions of the book and then I have the novella as well. So they're going. I'm getting rid of this Golden Flame by Emily Victoria. I got this in, is this the Fairy Loot edition or is this the the Litjoy? Because I got this book in 2 book boxes, Fairy Loot and Litjoy, years ago. When did it come out? It's come out in 2021. I think this might be the Litjoy one. I think this is the Litjoy one. I must have got rid of the Fairy Loot one years ago. I'm not going to read it. I have no interest anymore, so it's going. At First Sight by Olivia Day. This is the Afterlight one. I actually have the paperback and I have her other books in paperback, so I don't need to keep this in hardback. The Love Curse of Melody McIntyre by Robin Talley. I really enjoyed this book. However, I'm not going to reread it. This is a cute Litjoy edition though. Like, that's cute. But yeah, I'm not going to reread it, so it's going. The Scarlet Vow by Shelby Mahurin. I was really excited for this because it's a continuation of the Serpent and Dove series. However, I found out this has a trope in it that I absolutely despise, and therefore I don't want to read it, so it's going. Also, you are now wonky, I think, because there was books weighing you down and now there isn't. That's better. Sorry. Next is The Memory Trees by Callie Wallace. I have read this and I loved it. This was a book box book years ago, and I really enjoyed it when I read it. However, I don't think I'm ever going to reread it, so it can go. Then we have the These Witches Don't Burn duology by Isabel Sterling. I really enjoyed both of these books, but again, I'm not going to reread it. And I read the second book quite recently. I read it last year and I've got nothing willing me to pick them up ever again. So they're going. Right, we're on the final stretch. It's the final pile. And we're starting off strong with Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is being yeeted into the sun. I mean, it's not because I haven't got that good of a throw. But it's going. It's going. Next is The Keeper by Guadalupe Garcia McCall. I really enjoyed this book, but because of the nature of the book, I'm not going to reread it because I know all the twists and turns and I know who the culprit is. But it's a great middle grade if you like scary middle grade. Next is Malice and Misrule by Heather Walter. I loved Malice. Did not like Misrule. It was on my most disappointing of 2024. So these are going. Next up is another author, and I'm actually only keeping one of their books, and that's because I haven't read it yet. And I feel really bad about this, but I don't think I will ever reread this because it's a middle grade series. It's middle grade books. But I think my nephews might like this. So it's the Abby Elphinstone series, and also this Sky Song. But this series is like the Rumble Star series, and I really love this series. But I think my nephews would love it. So these books are going to go to my nephew because I'm nice like that. And yeah, it's going. I'm trying to be better at not keeping every single book I owned and liked. Next, if you love the Raven cycle, don't come for me because I'm getting rid of Call Down the Hawk. I've decided I don't want to continue. I've read the 4 Raven cycle books. I'm happy with that. I'm happy where it ended. I'm happy how it ended. I don't want to read the sequel series. I don't want to. So I'm going to get rid of this book. Next is Arishar and the End of Time. Again, it's a middle grade and it's not one that I'm currently reading and really enjoying. I've never read anything in this series, so it's going because I'm realistically not going to pick it up. Next is My Arc of the Butterfly Assassin by Finn Longman. I really enjoyed this book, but I've had no interest in picking up the sequel, and I'm going to be honest, I can't actually remember what happened in this one, so I'm just going to quit while I'm ahead and unhaul it. We're nearly done. We've got these 3 and then 3 more, and that's it. So I'm getting rid of 3. I think these are indie books, which makes me feel really bad, but I put them on my wish list. So these have all been gifted, I think. Yeah, all 3 of these were gifted, and I feel really bad about that, but I just have no interest in them anymore. So there's Radiance by Grace Draven. There's Of the Blood by Cameo Renee. And there is Oath Taker by Audrey Gray. I'm not into these sorts of books anymore. And unfortunately, I did get them when I was into those books and then just didn't get to them. So I feel really bad about that, but there's no point me keeping them if I'm not going to read them. And then finally, I love this series, but I'm not keeping it. It's the Dark Deep series by Brendan Ricus and Ali Condé. That was weird. Ali Condé and Brendan Ricus. So there's the Dark Deep, the Beast, and the Torchbearers. Part of the reason I'm getting rid of them is because they're never going to match, because they decided after these 2 to abandon the publishing in the UK. So I had to get the US edition of the 3rd. And I'm not going out of my way to try and get the US edition of the other 2 to match, because I don't think I'm going to reread them. I absolutely love them. I will recommend the hell out of them, but I don't think I'll reread them. So they are going. So that was my unhaul. I'm going to count the books. BRB. There is 86 books there. I have just unhauled 86 books. That's insane. Damn. Obviously my friend group gets first dibs on these, so I'll be sending pictures to them. And I think the only ones I'm actually going to put up on eBay are these ones, because I'm going to put it up as a set. But apart from these, if there is any books here that you would like, let me know. Message me, comment below, and if they're still available, I will happily just send them to you for postage. You pay for postage, that's all I want. I don't care about getting any extra. I just want them gone. I will say, whatever I've still got left, mid-February we'll be going to the charity shop, which probably isn't much time once this video is going up, because this video is going to be going up end of January, beginning of February, so probably not ideal, but you have like 2 weeks and then these are going. So yeah, I'm quite happy with this unhaul, in the sense that I can see spaces on my shelves and I feel like I can have a bit of a rearrange. I'm not gonna yet, but it could happen. It could happen. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Bye.